Okay, so it's a new year and it's been sitting on my mind for a while. So I thought I'd use this moment to really flesh out some of these thoughts that I've been having and share them with you because I believe it'll bring value. But this time of year, when it's at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, it tends to bring on a ton of stress for so many of us because there's just so much to prepare for at the end of the year. And very naturally, I think the closing of a year tends to bring on a ton of assessment in one's own life. And then, of course, there's the beginning of the new year. And for a lot of us who are business owner, entrepreneurs, we tend to, for myself, being a business owner, tend to think about what is it that I want to put my focus and attention to? What is it that I'm aiming for? What is it that I'm looking forward to manifesting and creating in my life? And then, of course, by doing so, it automatically brings up like the gap between what it is that we want and where we're currently at. And then, of course, the challenge and the joy of taking that on to get to that place. And I think that's a good place to be. It keeps us out of trouble, right? And as a individual who has been having money conversations with all different walks of life, all different age groups since 2010 on a full-time basis, what I've really noticed in this past year is the increasing conversations that I have with clients where either they know someone or they have been scammed. And it's a tough one. We hear about it all the time. What I do want to share is that I really encourage all of you, I don't know if it's going to be you or if someone you know, just to really start looking out for one another. COVID's been a blessing in some ways for a lot of people, but also very cruel in other ways. And how it's been not so good for us is that the uptick of people who are scamming, they're just getting better and better at it all the time. So if you're not a person who likes to be on their email a lot, especially if you're a person who does not look after their cash flow on the regular, I really urge you, this is like the right time to be renewing your commitment to yourself, that you or someone that you love, you're encouraging yourselves to look after your cash flow and at least force yourself to look at your bank accounts, starting like if you don't do any now, at least put it in your calendar and once a week, look and commit to looking at all of your things. Like, so if you think that's too much effort, too much work, do one account each day. Pick one thing each day to look at. Make sure you're looking at it and seeing what's going on. If you're not the type of person to even look at your credit card statement and see what's going on, that's dangerous. What has been more dangerous in the people that I've been talking to that have been scammed is that scammers are targeting people who are lonely in some way, shape, or form. Introverts who just really spend a lot of time online. So there's romance scams, there's scams for like, oh, invest in this, invest in that, you're going to go big. And some of these scammers know how to play the long game. They will convince you that you are important, that everyone else in your life is trying to like steal something from you, or they just don't love you and they're taking you for granted. And so they will love you and pay attention to you and make you feel heard in ways that maybe your people in your life, you want them to, but you don't know how to get them to. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you haven't taken the time to really check in with the people that are with you and you know who they are, who you may feel like you're taking them for granted in some way, but you haven't stopped to ask them, hey, how are things going? Or spend some time with them. And you know that they are the type of person to spend a lot of time isolated by themselves. Stop in and really see how they're doing, because you never know behind those closed doors. Those people are more susceptible to getting conned. And these con artists, these scam artists, they are just working at them, slowly niggling away at them, making them feel loved, making them feel heard, asking them for their bank accounts, making them give up their bank account information, asking them for their username, asking them for their passwords. They are doing it over months, years, and getting people to empty their bank accounts for false things. It is the stuff that you don't normally think about, but it is happening, and it is heartbreaking, and it is tragic. And it is unfortunately human nature. Where there's money, there are people who will try to steal it. And I wish that wasn't the case. And I'm sure the people that are scamming it and doing it have their own reasons and probably feel like the people that they're stealing it from deserve it or something sick like that. But yeah, I guess this is something exactly that I planned to talk about and planned and had it all worked out. I'm just speaking completely from the heart that in a brand new year, commit to yourself that you will check on your cash flow a lot more often and all the things that you look after so that you can make sure everything is above board. If you have never checked your credit history before, if you're Canadian, Equifax.ca and TransUnion Credit are the two major ones that most financial institutions check in with. It is actually on you as a Canadian because it is not government regulated. It is up to you to make sure that your credit history is correct. And so if you have never done that before, I urge you to do that. I think these institutions, Equifax and TransUnion, they stopped offering one-time check-ins. Sometimes they offer you to do it for free, but it just depends on when they're running those specific promotions. But they'll make you sign up for a month-to-month payment. And sometimes, your banks do that. And it's just like your score. So there's a difference between checking in on your score each month or getting your actual full credit history report. I mean, the score is, if you want to gamify your own finances, I guess there are certain people who will be driven by the fact that, get the highest credit rating, get the highest score so that, on the spectrum of things, you have a good credit rating, which for people who really care about making sure they look good to lending institutions, that's one way of doing it, I guess. But actually what's more important is what's actually on that report. And you can sign up for a monthly and then cancel if you want after that. But I would say read your report and check in on it at least every 3 months. I used to say once a year, but with how things are going right now, and if you're, again, especially a person who isn't on the regular looking at their numbers or looking at all of their accounts and things that they're signed up for, like your credit card statements, your bank statements, all of those things, then I highly recommend every 3 months to 6 months and at minimum once a year to check in on what's your report, because it does cost a lot of time, effort, energy, and it is a huge pain in the ass to fix your credit rating. So anything that you can do to prevent that from happening or nip it in the bud, just take care of it right away. It makes it a lot easier to deal with already a pain in the butt problem. So I guess the last piece is it's no fun when you end up getting scammed. You really start to lose faith in humanity, and you got to protect your relationship with money. And you also want to protect the people around you who may not know how to fend for themselves. So I really urge you from so many different levels, check in on your friends and family, make sure they're doing okay, because it's a brand new world of scam artists who are very tricky, and it even starts with your email. And so the last bit of it is if you're not a person who has changed their passwords or isn't very cyber secure, I would also urge you to step up your game in relation to making sure that you are a lot more careful about who you share your information with, because it's a very, very vulnerable feeling if you lose control of those certain items. So with that being said, my mission is always to heal the financial divide. My purpose and what I feel fulfilled by is to help others make sure that they keep more of what they have. And just don't want to see anyone suffer. So look after each other, look after yourself, look after your money,